Hi everyone, my name is Hyunjung Kim from Chungbuk National University in Korea. Let me present the results of my study. It deals with a preliminary study on strengthened disaster preparedness capability in South Korea. The sequence of my presentation will be as follows. The first is introduction. Second is objectives. In the third, I'd like to explain contents. After that, conclusion part has some improved issues. According to previous research results, preparedness can be defined as the advanced preparation process for enhanced ability to respond quickly and efficiently. And FEMA defined preparedness as actions taken to plan, organize, equip, train, and exercise to build and sustain the capabilities necessary to prevent, protect against, mitigate the effects of, respond to, and recover from threats and hazards. Among Framework Act on the Management of Disasters and Safety stimulates the general provisions and for phases for disaster management, including prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery. Chapter 5 of the Act prescribes details of preparedness for disasters. Disaster preparedness defined as actions taken in advance of a disaster to ensure adequate response to its impacts, and the relief and recovery from its consequences. Generally, preparedness is considered as the second phase of the disaster management, but preparedness is closely related with the whole phases. Preparedness is connected with many different organizations, including emergency response agencies, government, businesses, and citizens. So that how to coordinate different organizations is very important in disaster management. So this study was carried out to compare with the important factors of the preparedness and policies. This study is a preliminary study for deduced implications of disaster preparedness capability of Disaster Management Office. The act and policies which were related with the disaster management have been researched. Further, this study would be used for provide guidelines to disaster preparedness. Main government office which is responsible for disaster management is Ministry of Interior and Safety in Korea. And there were 19 disaster-related acts under this ministry, and these acts were classified as 12 disaster-related and 6 safety-related. Framework Act on the Management of Disaster and Safety is the role for central and local governments in carrying out their responsibilities to citizens. In this Framework Act, Article 34 is about saving and management of disaster management resources, and 35 is about implementation of disaster preparedness drills. Especially Article 34 includes communication, standards, action plans, manuals, etc. Already, FEMA defined preparedness actions, including plan, organize, equip, train, and exercise. And the act and actions were same in a large scheme. These 5 actions were compared with the disaster policies. Korea is the only divided country in the world, and that's the reason why preparedness is still focused on civil defense. Generally, risks were evaluated using probability and severity, so that high risk with high severity has a priority to manage, but the risk with high frequency also needs to be managed. The government does their best in the disaster management, but there are some implications to improve. At the current, to summarize temporary conclusions, first, coordination should be emphasized. Many different organizations and individuals participate in disaster management. So specific rules and coordinators are needed for coordinate and control between participants in conflicts. Second, the government tries to train high-quality manpower in disaster management. Therefore, related activities should be extended widely. Third, exercise should be strengthened as a priority over disaster management, but exercises were reduced as an untacked exercise because of COVID-19 and 2020 and 2021. Thank you for your careful attention.
I'm honored to be here on this day to present to you. My name is Bo-Sung Kim, and I'm a student in the Department of Nursing in Inje University, Korea. On behalf of many honors shows on this page, I'm here to present an analysis of traffic injury statistics on Gumi City, Republic of Korea. The order of my presentation is the background, objectives, and methods, results, and the conclusions. Let us look at the backgrounds of this research. This graph is trends in injury experience, injury hospitalized patients, and injury modality. It is known that 30,000 Koreans die from injuries a year. The result of comparing the age standardized injury mortality rate in 2019, Gumi City has 40.9 per 100,000 people, the third highest level among local governments. Injury death rate by accident causing Gumi was in order to suicide, traffic accidents, fall, drowning, and burns. The injury rate by accident cause was in the highest in traffic accidents based on 119 emergency activity records statistics in 2020. Traffic accidents were the highest with 2.6 cases per 1,000 people. Let's take a look at mortality rate by cause. In particular, it is a major health problem for young people with high economic activity capabilities, and deaths from injury ranked first as the cause of death in their teens and 40s. As seen earlier, the biggest cause of death in their teens and 40s was injury. Gumi's population is 50% of the population under the age of 30, and the average age is 39 years old, marking it a very young city. In addition, Gumi, which has a large young population, has a high risk of injury, and it is necessary to pay attention to traffic accidents, especially among the causes of injury to the young population. The objective of this study is to analyze the current status of the traffic accidents and provide data for policy development for prevention in order to reduce the incidence and mortality of injury to traffic accidents in Gumi City. For the methods of this research to find out the current status of traffic accidents, we use the statistics on the cause of the death from the National Statistics Office, injury death from the National Statistics Office, and 118 emergency activity log statistics of the Gumi fire stations were used. When looking at the 118 injury transfer rate by cause in Gumi City in 2020, traffic accidents were the most common with 2.6 cases per 1,000 people, with 3.3 cases per the men and 2.0 cases per the women. In particular, in Gumi City, where the young population is large, traffic accidents were the most common causes of emergency services caused by injury at all ages except infants and the elderly. As per the injured places using 118 emergency services, 43.7% of them occur on the law. This can support it that traffic accidents in Gumi are the biggest cause of the injury. Finally, this is the conclusion. First, traffic accidents account for the most among the use of 118 emergency services due to injury in Gumi. Second, Gumi has a large number of young age groups, and traffic accidents account for the largest proportion of young age groups, except infants and the elderly. Third, traffic accidents occur more in men in Gumi. Therefore, it is expected that the effect will be greater if promotional and educational policies tailored to age and gender are promoted to prevent injuries to traffic accidents in Gumi. Thank you for listening and allowing me to present today. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lin Pei Chai. Now I'm a PhD college student at Chengbu National University. Today I'm going to talk to you about my recent research entitled Improving Disaster Management Capability and Disaster Readiness by Using Big Data, focusing on China's response to COVID-19. My presentation will be divided into 5 major parts. I will start off by giving you the introduction. The second part is about the theoretical background, and the third part is about materials and methods, and the fourth part is about the results, and the last part is about conclusions. Okay, the first part. Introduction. COVID-19 has caused an unprecedented global crisis. During the COVID-19 epidemic, big data has played an important role in disaster management and disaster readiness. So the purpose of this paper is to analyze how big data affects the government's disaster management capability and the disaster readiness. The second part is about the theoretical background. Big data for disaster management. There is no standard definition of big data for disaster management. We also define big data as the amount of data just beyond technology's capability to store, manage, and process efficiently. Big data for disaster readiness. Readiness is a fairly modern concept in the context of disaster management and recognize the need to mitigate the damage and the duration of disasters to support the functionality of the emergency management system. And big data can also help deal with massive amounts of unprecedented data from public health surveillance, real-time epidemic outbreak monitoring, trend prediction, and healthy policy utilization information. The above studies show that the impact of big data on disaster management and disaster resilience. So we cite the following hypotheses. The first one, using big data will have a positive impact on disaster management capability. And the second one, using big data will have a positive impact on disaster resilience. And they are divided into several small hypotheses. The third part is about the methods and methods. The questionnaire data were collected through the online questionnaire company 问卷 in China between October 21st and 26th, 2021. A total of 219 questionnaires were collected, and after removing invalid data, the final number of valid questionnaires was 207. This study used the IBM SPSS Statistics 26 to analyze and use these research methods: reliability, validity, frequency distribution, one-way ANOVA, correlation analysis, and regression analysis. The fourth part, results. As shown in the Table 1, the number of participants in this survey was 207, of which 98 were male and 109 were female. And also we can see the age, education, employment, and monthly income. The reliability coefficients of the questionnaires are shown in Table 2. It can be seen that the overall reliability coefficient is 0.96, and the reliability of this survey is very good. And it can be seen from the Table 3 that the coefficient results of the KMO test is 0.923, as shown in the Table 4. The citizen satisfaction level with the government's disaster management capability and disaster resilience is 4.232 and 4.097 respectively. And then I will show you this Figure 1. It shows the means of government's disaster management capability, variables by socio-demographic characteristics. We can see that men are more likely to approve of government's disaster management capability than women. In the category of age, those aged 50 to 59 have the highest scores, and conversely, those aged 40 to 49 have the lowest scores. Those with greater age degrees have the highest scores for government disaster management capability. Also, those with incomes greater than RMB 20,000 were higher than other income groups. Figure 2, it shows the means of disaster resilience variables by socio-demographic characteristics. We can see that there is little difference in the disaster resilience scores between males and females. In the category of age, those in the 20 to 29 age group have the lowest scores for disaster resilience, where those in the 50 to 59 age group have the highest scores. In terms of education, those with graduate degrees have the highest scores for disaster resilience. Meanwhile, those with income between 15,000 and 20,000 RMB have the highest disaster resilience scores, while those with incomes below 5,000 RMB had the lowest scores. To investigate the relationship between the variables, a simple correlation analysis were conducted. The results of the analysis are shown in this Table 5. Big data is correlated with government disaster management capability and disaster resilience, and disaster management capability and disaster resilience also show correlations. In particular, they both show a positive correlation with each other. To observe the relationship between the impact of big data on government disaster management capability, a linear regression analysis was conducted, and the results are summarized in Table 6. It shows that big data positively affects the disaster management capability. Better use of big data will enhance the government's disaster management capability. In particular, response to the COVID-19. Better use of big data has the positive impact on trend prediction of the epidemic. Internal and external government cooperation, ignite public opinion response, and the government decision-making shifts. To observe the relationship between the impact of big data on government disaster readiness, a linear regression analyses were conducted and the results are summarized in Table 7. The results of the analysis show that the big data positively affects the disaster readiness. Better use of big data will enhance the disaster readiness. Based on the analysis results, it can also be observed that big data have a positive impact on psychological recovery and recovery policies in the post-epidemic. The results of the testing of hypotheses of this study are as follows. The first one, using big data was found to have a statistically significant positive impact on the government disaster management capability. The second one, using big data was found to have a statistically significant positive effect on disaster readiness. And we summarize in the table 8 hypothesis testing results. And then I will go on to discuss the last part's conclusions. In summary, in order to respond to the COVID-19 epidemic, the government needs to track and investigate the public trade flow and health status, which require mining, collecting, integrating, analyzing, and entering public information, each of which has the risk of information leakage. In order to prevent causing data security crisis events, the application of big data technology should also pay attention to personal privacy and data security issues. In addition, in order to make better use of big data, it is necessary to improve the application capability of big data and better combine big data with government governance, especially to perfectly combine big data with government disaster management capability and disaster readiness. Okay, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Efficient use of private divers for underwater rescue activities. Toyoung Kim, Crisis Management Cooperative Course. Introduction. Background. Korea is the land which surrounded by three, depending on the size of the ocean. These days, the marine accidents are increasing day by day due to growth of shipping and marine police. In order to prepare for this situation in advance, the government and selective members of the marine rescue teams among marine police every year. The fire department systematically educate and train the operation of the rescue team, and military units are so trained to take immediate action for their mission. The state has conducted education and trainings to prepare for marine accidents, but easy to perform more and not enough preparations for major marine accidents. For that, various operations are required depending on the condition of the short depth and diverge capabilities can make difference in rescuing and salvaging. Due to the lack of joint civilian private military training, there have also been which the rescue method continues to change according to the words of the media and other experts. A typical example is the Chonghaejin shipping accident. It pointed out the weakness of the rescue system in Korea, especially the public and private sectors. We would like to secure the civilian government and military rescue system and seek of efficient management for the REX area. Purpose: to such systematic training methods of the civilian government and military necessary need for the rescue operation and to determine about an efficient way to organize the weak area by efficient and systematic organizational operation in underwater and the present and efficient method of the rescue operation for private divers. Theory: after the Cheonghae shipping accident, many changes took place in the Maritime Police and Fire Department. The first is the supply of underwater equipment. Is this replaced with equipment similar to or more than that of civilian divers? On the second, deep-sea diving education is being conducted in detail. Joint civilian government and military training are still making no progress in the event of a maritime accident. I think that divers who participated in the joint training should be deployed first according to situation. Even if an accident occurs in jurisdiction of the Coast Guard professional divers, shipper for bad weather rescue must be deployed, and for this joint training method must be considered from various angles. To do this, it is necessary to think of various methods of camp training. In the case of civilian divers, active participation in local rescue team can cause accident regardless of diving capabilities, which is a dangerous behavior for this reason. It's not knowledge established with the private rescue team in the event of an accident to solve the problem only civilian rescuers with excellent diving capabilities must be deployed at the accident site, which can prevent further accident and respond quickly to underwater rescue divers. One, excellent diving capabilities are specified in table 1 and similar. The Maritime Police Agency and the National Fire Agency need to check their members and their capabilities rather than demonstrating training. The public-private joint diving team should conduct correct training to ensure the safety of the public through training tailored to the actual situation. Data and research method. This started the survey focusing on SSI and radar instructors around the country, and the region is nationwide, and the survey method collected data through SNS. The total percentage of participants are 98% for men and 2% for women. In the case of a private rescue team in Hwasong City, 100% of men. Produce statistics and the discussion method. result. Without criteria for private divers that can help with maritime rescue instructors and civilian rescue workers believe that in order to quickly and accurately perform underwater rescue missions, in the event of accident, they must have the diving capabilities in Table 1.1 and there will be no additional accident. Table 1.1 summary. Divers capabilities depend on the depth of the water and a ship or plane sinks. Common information. Diving experience for more than 10 years. Marine current diving experience. Cloudy water diving experience. It's 40 meter there. More than 600 divers is 60 meters deep. More than 50 meters, more than 50 divers is 8 meters deep. Diving more than 80 meters on 10 times. Conclusion. In the event of a maritime accident, there are maritime police fire stations and special training units. But in the case of the large accident, the help of a civilian diver is needed as an alternative resource for rescue personnel. Each diver has a long job in diving, so they have a lot of experience and know-how. Through efficient management of domestic professional divers rapid input each personnel in the event of a marine accident. Equipment operation budget is not required and rescue personnel can be added to protect the lives and property of the people. Thank you.